All right, couple things before we turn it over to our keynote. As you know, I don't know whose idea this was, but I think it's fantastic. Tonight, cocktail hour, dinner, ugly sweater contest. I actually don't even own one. I had to get one on eBay. I hope you're going to participate. If you don't participate, that's fine. That's obviously your prerogative. But if you do participate, there's going to be prizes, a couple different things that are going to happen. So hopefully you'll participate in that. Also, Rich Thrasher said during his introductions that he did not have a nickname. During the break, he came clean. He said his dad was named Dickie, and everyone else called him growing up called Little Dickie. So he's Little Dickie. He didn't want to say that in front of everyone, which is completely appropriate for you not to want to say that in front of everyone. All right, we're going to do keynote, then we're going to do our SWOT, and then Eric. When we talked about who to bring in to speak to you about sales, we didn't really know what to do. And then I went to the leadership conference and I saw Tom speak. And Tom is a sales-oriented person. He is a sales guy. He's vice president of sales for Xerox. So this isn't some consultant BS coming in telling you how to sell and never done it before. This is a guy that knows how to do it. And he was talking to our operations folks, which I'm sure there's a lot of opinions in here about how our operations folks need to know more about sales, and I'm sure there's a lot of operations folks that think that you all need to know more about operations. But the bottom line here is Tom is an accomplished salesman and sales leader, and so what he's going to have for you here today should hopefully help each and every one of you. So help me and welcome me, Tom.
Thanks a lot, man. Jason, thanks a lot. Can you guys hear me without the mic? Or is it better with the mic?
I can hear it without it.
You can hear me without it. All right. I'm gonna bail on the mic. Let's see.
Your media, Tom.
Yes.
Your media team's microphone is here.
I got another one right here.
I got it.
I think of everything. All right. First of all, thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here with a company like Morabito. That was like the longest 15-minute break I've ever seen in my life, right? So when I'm at a sales conference, it's different than the service conference. Jason and I were just talking about this when we did the service and operations. The guys go out, smoke a cigarette, they come back, and they're ready in 5 minutes. The sales team, they go in the back, they congregate with each other because we're people, right? We like that. That's what we get our energy off of. And that goes with the speech today. The theme of this speech is that some of our greatest strengths can also double as our biggest weaknesses, right? So a strength is not always a strength. You have to put guide rails behind it, okay? So I hope that during that 15-minute break that turned into 30, people were talking to customers and getting sales, right? So I think that revenue that everybody was showing just went up during that break, right? Anybody say yes? Did anybody get a sale during that break? Yep. Anybody reach out to a customer? You got one? Yep. All right, congratulations. So like Jason said, my name is Tom Cook. Currently, I'm the VP of sales for Xerox. I handle about 60 salespeople throughout New York State. I have New York City and Long Island, as well as the upstate New York marketplace. And as you heard earlier, I reside in Syracuse. My goal today is I'm going to drop my heart on the floor for you guys, okay? I'm going to show some of my vulnerabilities because I think that's important. In sales, it's never perfect. It never was for me. You're going to hear a lot of things, some stories and some sales techniques and some tricks of the trade that you may already know. You may have heard them before, but I hope that I package them in a way that makes it click for you maybe more than it did before, or at least at a minimum, it reinforces something that you already know. So my goal is to provide you with at least one thing, one technique, or one actionable takeaway that will literally change your life if you commit to implementing it. You can change the trajectory of your life today in this room if you commit to implementing some of the strategies and the techniques that I'm going to talk about. If everybody's with me on that goal, give me 2 claps right now. Now give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair. Woo! Woo! Yeah, all right, now we're talking. All right, so the folks in this room, when I sit and I talk to people in the room, they typically sit in one of two camps. There's two groups. There's the group that says, man, I don't know how he's up there doing that. That takes a lot of balls. I'm glad that he's up there because I wouldn't want to be the one up there. That's the first group. I call that the I'm glad it's not me group, okay? There's a second group of people who says, who the hell is this guy? Why is he up there? I bet you I could do just as good a job as he does, if not better. I call that the that should be me group. So now by a show of hands, and be honest, I know we have some operations people in the room, right, Lee? By a show of hands, who's in the first group? The I'm glad it's not me group. Show of hands. Okay. Now, be honest, who's in the second group? The who is this guy? That should be me. I could probably do that just as good as him. Show of hands, raise them high. Raise them high. I thought we were in a sales room. I'm a little concerned here. Again, second group. Let me know what's going on. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anybody else? I need more than 6 volunteers. Say that again? You can be in both groups, absolutely. All right, who in the first group that says, I'm glad I'm not in here presenting, would like to be a volunteer at some point in the presentation? And would be okay with stepping up here? I think Jason said earlier, you're gonna need to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, right? So that was a setup. The people that were 6 in the group, guess what? You just volunteered yourself for later in the presentation. So thank you very much. You're gonna get a chance to come up here and put your money where your mouth is and see if you can do this with me. Sound good? Everybody following me? Okay, great. So I need from the first group, this is not a talking point, but I need 2 volunteers from the group that says, and I'm not gonna make you talk at all, I'm just gonna have you come stand up. So 2 people from the first group, as quick as you can, come up to the front. Sean, perfect, thank you. All right, great. Sean, thanks a lot.
Hey, not a
appreciate it.
Fantastic
Both
name.
Seans.
Fantastic name. Yeah, fantastic name.
We called Sean and we got 2 people. I love it. That's great. Okay. How many people in sales have ever heard somebody say, I have a lot of balls in the air? Ever heard that? It's a common phrase, right? What are they referring to?
Juggling.
They're referring to juggling. Yeah, of course. Why am I holding 3 balls?
He wants to juggle.
All right. I'm not the greatest juggler in the world, but what I need guide rails. So I need Sean on my left, and I need Sean, I need S-E-A-N on my left, and I need S-H-A-W-N on my right, okay? I'm gonna juggle here, and if I happen to drop one of these balls, I need you guys to run and make sure that they don't go under the tree and grab them, because they might go in any direction, all right? You guys follow me so far? When you say you've got a lot of balls in the air, what we're actually referring to is not just 3 balls, but I want you to imagine that I'm juggling 15 balls. And when I'm juggling, 15 balls, what's going to typically happen? I am bound to eventually drop a ball, right? But I need guide rails. Now, the thing about juggling in sales is that you are eventually definitely going to drop one of those balls. Except I want you to imagine that the 15 balls that I'm juggling, of those 15, most of them are rubber. And if they drop, it'll bounce right back into my hand. When we talk about juggling a lot of balls, what are we actually talking about? Prospects, clients, paperwork, operations, right? Making sure that I've got everything in line for sales, right? So that everything can go off without a hitch. Well, many of those balls, those 15 balls, like I said, are rubber, and when they hit the floor, they bounce right back into your hand, and you can just keep on juggling, and there's no problem. But now I want you to imagine that there are 3 balls out of the 15 that are made of glass. And if I happen to drop one of the glass balls, what happens? shatters into 1,000 pieces, right? Can I ever get that commission back if that happens? Can I ever get that opportunity back? Now here's the rub. Your manager as a sales rep can't tell you which ones are glass balls. The operations team can maybe have a sense of which ones are glass balls, but as a salesperson, it's our job to figure out what are the most important. Thanks, Sean. Great job. Give him a round of applause. Thanks. Great job. So in sales, it's our job to figure out which ones are glass balls, right? Because if I drop a rubber one, I can maybe afford to drop it because I have a good enough relationship that it'll bounce right back. But I have other clients and other prospects that if I happen to drop a glass ball, it might put their production behind for a year. And they might be so upset that they'll never do business with Morabito again. Can anybody relate to that? Show of hands. Okay. Anybody with me so far? Good. All right. So, when I got the chance to work with Morabito, I was really excited, and I talked significantly to Jason. I talked significantly to Eric, and I talked to Matt Meehan and Matt Schindler. And what I heard was that we have great people. We have a blue-collar, old-school methodology. Can you guys shout out some other traits like relationship-oriented, you can trust our handshake? What else are some positive traits that Morabito shows? Shout them out. What are some other things that make integrity? Okay. Reliability, loyalty. All these things are great traits. Locale. Love it. So these are all great. One of the things, can anybody think of any weaknesses that we might have here at Morabito? Well, shout them out. This is a safe space. Nobody's going to get in trouble, right, Dave? What are some of the weaknesses that we have? Go ahead and shout them out.
Communication.
Technology. Communication from Marissa and marketing. Thank you very much, Marissa. Uniformity. Doing the same thing. How do we do at sales training at Morabito? How do we do? Eric?
Not very well.
Okay, so we have great people. We have quality people. You can trust us. We're reliable. We'll be in the right spot. When I was talking to Jason and Eric, they said, we don't do a ton of sales training, okay? We have people, we're almost successful in sales in spite of ourselves. We're great relationship builders, but are we truly sales professionals? That's not for me to answer. That's for you guys to answer yourselves. A true sales professional understands what objections they're going to hear and has a way to overcome it, understands what's going on, and a methodology behind they run every single one of their appointments. Again, show of hands, how many people have had traditional sales training in their past, maybe at another business? Okay, great. So that's going to give you guys a head start on what I'm going to talk about. How many people have never had any traditional sales training, and anything they've done on the job and gotten it themselves? Again, show of hands. So learned through doing, right? Both of those are important. How many people have committed to learning on their own beyond what the company gives them? Show of hands. All right, great. Very, very good. Excellent. All right, great. So the mentality of a salesperson, I want to talk a little bit about why we're different. Right? I talked about earlier when you guys jump out of the room, you guys end up making phone calls and talking to each other, and you talk about who won the game last night and what's going on in the water cooler. You also probably connected with somebody on a deal that's being worked, and that's what today is about. Right? You want to figure out if there's somebody in Saratoga Springs that you didn't know existed before, and I happen to be in Saratoga Springs. Maybe we should meet once a month for lunch, talk about what customers were doing and share that experience, right? So I want to say next, these skills, we've had these our whole life, right? As salespeople, we've gravitated, we're people-oriented people. We talk to people, we like that experience. We get energy from others, right? We don't sit in a cubicle. We couldn't do the same thing all day long, right? Anybody be comfortable sitting in a cubicle all day? Anybody be comfortable sitting on an assembly line pulling the same lever all day? There are people out there who are very comfortable doing that, but that's not us as salespeople. But I will say this, there is absolutely no such thing as a natural-born salesperson. Why do I say that? Because if somebody ever told you that you were a natural-born salesperson, think about the connotation from the 1950s and the death of a salesperson, right? What comes to mind when you say, hey, you're a natural-born salesperson? Do you think of what I just talked about? Do you think of trustworthy relationship building? If you do, I think you're in the minority, right? Do you guys agree with me on that? So we have to, as salespeople, we have to constantly be fighting that stigma, right? But I'll tell you, if they told you that you're a natural-born salesperson, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It actually, I think it's a good thing. I lean into being a salesperson, but I have to be comfortable. Here I am in front of the team talking right now. I'm going to talk for probably about an hour. Hopefully you guys will have some role playing and help me out a little bit. But if you are a natural-born salesperson or somebody told you that, it probably means that you talk too much, number one, okay? Number two, it probably means that you like to give your opinion on things and try to get people to agree with you. Can anybody nod if they agree with me on that one? If you're a natural-born salesperson, are those habits or traits that might lead somebody to say you're a natural-born salesperson? Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair. Let's pay attention. Woo! All right, great. So I want to talk quick, if you guys are following me. I think sales is the greatest profession in the world, okay? It's the greatest profession in the world because we all made a choice. We could have taken a job that had a nice cushy salary and rode that out to retirement. Or we could have chosen sales. Does everybody have a salary? Is it anywhere near as high as what some other salaries could be if we weren't in sales? Probably not. I don't know a lot about Mirabito and what you guys get paid, but I know that you have a salary, and then you have what's really exciting. You have the variable portion of your business, which is why we're all doing sales, right? The variable commission is the important part about it. Now, if you grew up any time between 1920 and 2020, you may have had someone in your family at some point tell you, you know, kid, and I need you guys to finish this line, money doesn't grow on trees, right? Well, if anybody has any cash in their pocket, I want you to take the cash out of your pocket and I want you to just rub it through your fingers real quick, all right? I happen to have it here. Cheeks. I'll give that. Yeah. What does it feel like? We'll take it back. I'll give that. Yeah. What's it made out of? It's made out of paper, right? Feels like what is paper made out of? Paper is literally made out of trees. So right now, what they've been saying for the last 100 years, money doesn't grow on trees, they're 100% wrong. Money grows on trees. It's made out of paper, and when the United States needs more of it, what have they been doing for the last 5 years since COVID? They've just been printing crap tons of more stuff. We've got inflation through the roof. The problem is not that money doesn't grow on trees, because we've just established that it actually does. The problem is that most people in the world don't have a job that allows them to get their hands on more money than what they actually can do on a day-to-day basis. But you guys are not most people. You guys are salespeople. Guys and girls, I apologize. When I say guys, I mean both, okay? But you people are salespeople. So, you've chosen a profession which you can literally today give yourself a raise. If you feel like, hey, this is what I need to do, I'm glad you guys are already putting your own personal effort towards getting better. I happen to be a lacrosse coach for a travel lacrosse team, and when I tell people at practice, you show up at practice, it's not to get better. At practice in lacrosse, I might go through a shooting drill, and as a player in practice, I might get 20 shots off. That would be a lot of shots to get off in practice. But on my own, I could get 100 shots off in probably a half hour in my backyard, right? So practice isn't about getting better as an individual. Practice is about getting better as a team. And I want you guys to look at sales the same way. And some of you already do because you showed that. But practice is the time, when you show up to practice, that's the time that you show everybody how much better you've gotten since the last practice. So don't rely on the company to give you sales training. I'll tell you that right now. Because the sales training that they give you might not be specific to you, okay? You might need something else. You understand that you have strengths, but you also have to understand what weaknesses you have, and you need to prepare yourself to overcome those weaknesses so that you can get those weaknesses into strengths. And if you look at your pipeline and what's happening, if there's deals stuck in your pipeline and you can't get them through, you have to start researching, hey, why do deals get stuck in people's, what part of the process, of the sales process on the front end am I possibly missing that can help me get more deals at the end when I'm closing so that I don't see the same objections again? That's on you, that's not on Morabido. Everybody following me? All right, let's see, let's go to the next slide. So, to understand, I said I was going to share some vulnerabilities with you. To understand, I have some strengths, like I said, that my strength was confidence and the fact that I could talk to people and I had a belief in myself, and I'm an incredibly competitive person, okay? If you're anything like me, you might share those same strengths. Like to talk to people, competitive, confident. Give you an example. If I was in a bar and I went up to now my wife, she happened to say that she would go out with me, but had she not gone out with me, I would have gone, must be a lesbian, right? Because how could she possibly not want to go out with me, right? That's the sales mentality, okay? Now, I was lucky enough. I've been married for almost 20 years to her, and I'm a very lucky man. She did say yes. So, I didn't have to say that. But for me, it started with delusional confidence, okay? I was born in 1980, okay? I was the youngest of 4 children, okay? 1980. Youngest by 11 years to the next closest. So in 1985, 1986, I was headed to kindergarten. And my siblings were old enough that they were in their teen years in their 80s when I was in my adolescence in my 80s, right? I was 10 and younger, but they were already teenagers. I had a brother who was 16. He was the starting running back for his high school football team, and I was 6 years old when I started kindergarten. Now, my brothers and my sister were just old enough to not have to push me around. Like, they couldn't bully me like if they were just 1 or 2 years older. They had to like actually keep me engaged, right? So in the living room or in the backyard, we would have these epic battles when I was 5 and my brother was 16. And somehow at the end, he would end up falling down and tripping and fumbling the ball in the backyard so I could pick it up and beat him. So when I was watching him out there on the varsity football field, I believed in my 6-year-old mind that I should be the starting running back for Jamesville DeWitt High School. So that's delusional confidence, right? When I showed up for my first day at kindergarten, my mother dropped me off. I went to school. We had a half day. I got back in the car on the way home, and my mother said, "How did your day go?" I said, "Well, I hate this school." She said, "What? You've been there for 1 day. This is your first day of school. How could you possibly hate it? They don't even have any teams for me to try out on. I can't even play football until I get to middle school. This is ridiculous." I had no idea. That's delusional confidence, right? And my wife would tell you that my head, if I had to go through that doorway, it wouldn't be able to fit through the door, okay? So I have to stay grounded. One of the things that I had to learn, so what happened in the 1980s, my siblings were athletes. Most of they each played 2 or 3 sports growing up. And in 1980, blue collar time period, we lived in a neighborhood where everybody had brought their lunch pail. The garages went up at 6:30 in the morning. Everybody reported to work at 7, came back. And it was, you had to get a trophy, you had to actually win something, right? You had to actually like win a championship. So my 3 siblings, all very good athletes, I think they had 3 trophies combined from 1980 till 1990. They went off to college. I grew up. I started playing youth sports. And in 1991, 92, they started giving something out called participation trophies. So my siblings would come back from school and they'd see my my dresser filled with like 40 or 50 trophies, and they'd look at their trophy and they'd be like, what? I had to win a championship. What did you do? Well, I showed up for lacrosse at, in Baldwinsville at this little field, and they just gave me a trophy after I went 2 times. That was the participation trophy, which only fueled my level of confidence, right? So imagine I had some success. I was fortunate enough to go to Fairfield University on a lacrosse scholarship. I was fortunate enough to also be inducted into my high school athletic Hall of Fame. But I say all that to set up, think about a kid who's 23 years old and graduates from college and then goes into the work world, right? I get to the work world, I'm a natural born salesperson, I'm good at talking to people, I think I'm pretty likable. Now I show up to work the first day. They say, hey, here's gonna be your quota. I said, well, I want to compete with the best people here. I don't want a low quota, a ramp-up quota. Who are your best salespeople? I want to compete with them. Do you guys have a ranking report? I'd like to do that. So they gave me a quota of 400,000, and I'm looking at the ranking report, and there's people with $1.2, $1.5 million quotas selling copier machines for a company called ComDoc Incorporated out of Akron, Ohio. And I'm living in Syracuse, New York. And my manager says to me, hey, slow down, cowboy. Why don't you try, we'll up your quota a little later. Why don't you start with the ramp-up quota, right? Why don't you start with the ramp-up quota and hold your horses a little bit? You guys follow me so far? Well, flash forward, I go through the sales training, and they give you the site seller, the book, and everything. And it wasn't like I showed up and just thought I was gonna win. I actually had a work ethic too. I had a strong work ethic. I knew that you had to work in order to get success. I'd always done that with sports. But the thing that humbled me about sales is that it wasn't just about working hard. It wasn't just about doing more. It was actually about being more skillful and being better. So I showed up with people in Syracuse, New York. There were 8 other salespeople. One of them was hired on the same exact day as me. And the first week, we're like, hey, let's have a telemarketing contest and see who could set up the most meetings. That day, I was like, great, no problem. They're going to give a prize away for the person that makes the most dials. They're going to give a prize away for the person that gets the most appointments. So I'm dialing like a madman. I pick up the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm going one after another after another. I made 368 dials that day, and I got 1 appointment. And the guy next to me, who was like in his 50s, he made 40 calls, and he got like 8 appointments. And I'm going, what the heck is going on? Not only on top of that, I had the lower quota. I had somebody hired on the same day. I grew up in Liverpool, in Syracuse, New York. My dad owned a business in Syracuse, New York. He knew every business owner in Syracuse, New York. I specifically came back to Syracuse to work in Syracuse so I could use my father's network of people so that I could be successful at sales. What territory did they give me? Ithaca, New York. I'd never been there a day in my life. So I show up, I'm here to save the day, I'm 23 years old, I'm gonna light the world on fire, I want the higher quota. 6 months in, I'm driving to Ithaca every single day, 5 days a week, it's an hour-and-a-half drive. I drive down there, I'm in the market by 8:30 in the morning, I'm knocking on doors up and down the street, doing everything I possibly can, and I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm going through the site seller, I'm showing people, hey, this is what we do, here's how we do it, like this is it, et cetera, et cetera. Everything that I was taught by, no offense, Marissa, the marketing team. Hey, tell them about this. Tell them about this. Tell them about this. I was showing up and throwing up on my prospects and customers. I was not asking any of the right questions. And 6 months into my sales career, the CEO and the COO drive in from Akron, Ohio to present. Everybody, gives their quarterly business review every year. So it's a quarterly business review. It's about, I think it's June. So I had started in September. It might have been June. And I get presented, instead of them listening to my quarterly business review, I get presented with a performance improvement plan that says if you don't get better in the next 30 to 90 days, we're not going to let you work here anymore. So for a kid that has delusional confidence, can you even imagine? I remember a pivotal point in my career. Right after that happened, I call up my father. Important to know, I told you, I grew up in a 3-family house with 3 other siblings. there's no doubt in my mind I'm the password child. If you had to break into my mom's computer, you could put Tommy 1980 and I would be in, and I could get all of I could take all of her bank accounts right now if I wanted to in her computer, because that's how much I felt loved by my parents. And my father every day used to walk by my room and he'd say, "Hey, you're the best, kid." And if you're a parent in this room and you're not doing that today, I would tell you that every single day you need to tell your kid that they're the best, because when you hear it every day like I did growing up, you start to believe it, okay? So, I call up my dad. I said, "Dad, they gave me a bad territory, et cetera, et cetera. The stuff that they gave me doesn't work, et cetera, et cetera." At the end of that tirade that I went on, my father says, who's told me I'm the best my whole life, "Are you done?" I finally stopped talking. I ran out of breath. He says, "Are you done?" "Yeah, I guess I'm done." You've just spent the last 45 minutes blaming, complaining, and making excuses about why you're on a performance improvement plan. Are you kidding me? This is not the person that I raised. Completely 180. That was a wow moment for me. Are you kidding me? Like, what the hell do I have to do? He said, "Wait." He said, "How long has this business been in business for?" "You're 23 years old." "Well, this is their 58th year." "And how much revenue have they done?" "Well, they're a $100 million business." "And how many employees do they have?" "They have over 500 people." Do you think that they care at all that you're there? You're not going to quit. You're not going to lose this job. You're not going to be fired by them. You're going to stay at this job until you make President's Club. And at the time, President's Club was like the thing. It was either Italy or St. Lucia or Cabo San Lucas. It was like a rival, right? And there was no way that I wanted to miss it. Well, my first year, I definitely missed it. But that one conversation snapped me into, holy cow, I've got to get better at this. So, I stopped listening to the traditional stuff that the company was kind of saying to me, because the company wanted me to know, what's our story? What's important about us? What do we need to be telling people about our company? But the truth about sales, and I found this when I went to meetings like this, exactly like this, I found it from people like Sammy Maggio and Sean Malinky and Mark Taylor, that it wasn't really about us, the company. It was more about the people on the other side. And I needed to ditch the site seller and the PowerPoints that I was showing. I needed to stop showing up and throwing up on people. I needed to ask people more about themselves. Because what? Do they really care about us? No, they care about them. And then once you understand what they care about, now you can sell to them. They will literally give you the answers to the test. And that flipped everything. So, these were not managers. These were people that I met in rooms similar to this, that through their philosophy and understanding, hey, ditch the PowerPoint slide, ditch the site seller, start talking to people, start having the relationship with people, and everything will change with you. You guys are already doing a good job with that. But now if we throw some sales on that, we can do good. So I went from being on a performance improvement plan to being one of the absolute best people at ComDoc, and I did it through just committing to the sales game and understanding and trying to be a student of it. What can make me better, right? Obsessed with competition, a strong work ethic, but I do believe that in sales, I've always said this, if you work a hard 40 hours in sales efficiently, you can get anything that you want done. Because I believe you should have a work life and a home life, but together you have a life. And they need to be, you can't have those two blur. I want to go to my kids' sports events. I want to make sure that I go on a trip with my family and all those things. But without these people, these mentors that I just told you about, there's no way that I'm the #1 salesperson at Titan LED in 2018 and getting a Cadillac in front of 107 other salespeople for being their #1 person. There's no way that in 2022 now at Xerox, I'm the Northeast VP of the Year for Xerox Corporation. It doesn't happen without the mentors that I learned along the way. All right. I need 4 volunteers.
Me, Sean.
All right. from the first group. So people that put their the second group. If you put your hand up in the second group, this is your time. Mark, come on up. Dan, I saw you. Alex, yeah, come on up. All right, great. So, when we talk about,
Another one?
that's 3, I need 1 more. Who wants to go? All right, great. All right, great. All right, so when you guys, I know you guys have HVAC, right? You have wholesale gas. Are you guys all on the same team, or are you on different teams?
We're on the same team.
You two are on the same team? You two are you two on the same or different? Okay, all right, great. All right, I need to get to here. So when you guys present to somebody, you present your solution or your proposal, and then you go to close for the business and you say, hey, are you ready to move forward? I just need your signature here. You guys still do that? You guys sign contracts and things like that? That's how you get the sale, right? How many possible objections could you guys possibly deal with? How many are there in the world? How many different things can people say? Alex says 1 million, right? Infinite number of objections, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of different things that they could say. I'm going to challenge that again, like I did the money doesn't grow on trees. I got a $20 bill here that's made out of paper, but it is real. It's made out of paper. It grows on trees. For anybody that can give me 10 objections, and I'll give you the first couple. I need to think about it. Your price is too high. I need to talk to my spouse. Third party, spouse, CEO, CFO, anybody like that? Okay. I'm happy now with my current provider. I had a bad experience in the past. And how about lines of credit? Lines of credit an issue anybody has to deal with?
Yep.
Credit line. How about not in the budget? Not in budget. And number 8, which would be what? Timing, not the right time. All right. Now we're being a little general here, right? But can anybody else give me a 9th and a 10th?
You're my competitor.
You're my competitor? So is that a good prospect? Does that count? You let me know. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
You're my competitor is 9. Okay.
Under contract?
You are, oh, okay. All right. Got it.
Maybe that's time.
Is that time?
Yeah, we got time.
Got timing. What's the 10th?
I said under contract.
That's timing. That's definitely timing. Not the right time. I need to get 3 quotes. Got to do my due diligence. 3 quotes. Although I would tell you that that is not an objection. Is I need to get 3 quotes really an objection? I would tell you that that's actually, and I'm not picking on you, I would tell you that's a failure in your sales process because you should have known that way before you got to the point that you were presenting. Okay? All right. So I'm not going to count that one. I'm not going to count I need to get 3 quotes because that should come up well before you get to the close. Everybody agree? That should come up before you get to the close. You should know if you have competition in there, or what their process to buy is. Okay.
Market situation?
Explain.
High price market, and you want to wait? I guess that's
Timing.
Is there a competitive match pricing?
Price is too high.
Doesn't mean my need.
Product. Wrong product. I'll give you that one. All right.
Sold online cheaper.
Price is too high. Come on, guys. There's millions of objections out there.
People just understand.
They ghost. Happy now. Have a better relationship. Happy now. What?
Don't need surgery.
Bad timing. Not in the budget.
From a relationship with someone else.
You have a relationship with somebody else. I'm happy now.
Objection because of the equipment you're proposing.
Product, wrong product?
I heard a customer say they just didn't like Sean.
Didn't like Sean. All right, can you guys, do I owe anybody $20 for real right now? Does anybody feel like I owe it? I can give it to Sean if we got to 10. Selling the business, wrong time. Timing's not right. Okay, all right. Some of these are legit objections. If they're selling the business, they're not gonna entertain us, right? That's a legit objection, right? So, all right. Mark, I heard you earlier, so I'm gonna ask the other side. I'm gonna start over here. Rich, I'm the client or the prospect. You're talking to me, and I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. You just went to close the business, and I say, hey, thanks, Rich, I really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. I have to talk to my wife, and I'll get back to you.
Luckily, I don't have to deal with that on the commercial side, but I mean.
All right, I have to talk to my CEO. I have to talk to Dave. I have to talk to my CEO.
Yep.
How do you handle it?
I'd like to try to set up a meeting with the CEO or the CFO and try to work together to see if we can come to an understanding. Maybe go over some of those talking points that we went over.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good answer. Alex, how do you handle that?
Yeah, that's pretty good. You know, I understand that that's what's needed, and you know, you have my contact. I'd be happy to fill him in if there was anything you needed help explaining to him or her.
Okay. All right. Corey.
I can clearly see your wife wears the pants in the relationship. No, I would say.
Well played. I'm in a sales room. Well played.
No, I would say, you know, is there a better time for me to come back where your wife and I can speak together at a time?
Yeah, she's actually out of the country. She's in Brazil until the end of the winter. She'll be back in April.
Can you FaceTime her?
Brazil, the cell phones are bad in Brazil, and I can't actually get a hold of her right now because she's at a spa day.
What about your girlfriend?
Okay. Mark, how would you handle that?
I would basically say, well, hey, you know, I can greatly appreciate that, but you know, we can do one or two things. We can obviously try and set up another meeting where she's here so we can answer both your questions together. We could call, or if you're comfortable moving forward, and you know, one of the things I always say is, or ask my sales guys to do is go back and make sure you're asking them personally, did I answer all your questions and concerns? And, you know, then try and close the sale again.
All right. Thank you, guys. Very good. Stay up here. Okay. Anybody else want to also volunteer? Go ahead.
I would challenge that, similar to what you said earlier, if it's not the decision maker that make a choice, then probably shouldn't present at that point anyways, and find out who it is and then who they can bring in with you next time.
100%. What's your name?
Brian.
Brian, great job. So I need to talk to a third party a real objection? No. What is it? Anybody know what it's called in the sales game? It's called a smoke screen. It's called a smoke screen. It is not a real objection. I need to talk to a third party as a smoke screen, a stall tactic that people use in buying. It's taught in buying books. If you want to get good at sales, pick up a book on how people purchase and what questions that they need to ask in order to be good at purchasing. They're going to throw out things like, I need to talk to my CEO before I can move forward. This is great. Thanks for all this. I have to get 3 quotes. I have to think about it. All of those things, if you've closed that door in your sales process, all of those things do not present themselves as objections at the end. If I knew going in, what is your decision-making process? Does it involve your CEO and your CFO and your COO or your wife? I'm not going to be there to present my proposal unless every buying person that's making a decision is in that room, right? That would be a complete waste of my time. I don't want to waste your time or mine, right? So when I asked you earlier in the process, you know, if your wife was a part of the decision, I wish that would have come up. We would have liked to have had her together, like Corey said. But you know what? You've been with your wife for how long, Corey?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Before that, you guys probably had a trusting relationship, right? Okay, great. So you've been with her for 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, have you gotten to know her pretty well?
I think so.
All right, so if she was here, there are 3 things that she would be considering. Number 1 would be the company itself. Number 2 would be the product and how it's delivered. And number 3 would be the pricing. Of those 3 things, what do you think would be the one that she'd be most concerned about?
Pricing.
Pricing. What about the price would she be most concerned about?
Too expensive.
Compared to what?
Everything she buys.
Okay, so what is the real objection? Price. Price is the real objection, right? So if we have a tactic on how to get rid of third party, we can get to the real objection. Also, let's just handle, thanks guys. Can I get 4 more volunteers? Can you guys join the front? Come on up. Or does anybody have a way to handle, does anybody have a way that they handle, I need to think about it every single time?
And sometimes also trying to make them look good. I mean, they're in a role that may be below the other level, and you can help them build them up in their role.
It's a great opportunity. Absolutely. Great opportunity. So I need an internal sponsor in that case, right? So I'm going to work with you. I don't want you to have to do anything. I'll put everything together for you. We'll work together. We'll be able to present it to your CFO or your CEO, make you look great. You can be the internal sponsor even though you don't have signature power, all right? I want you guys to take your worksheets down, okay? Right now, and I'm going to go through. Does anybody want me to, you guys can go ahead and sit down, all right? So my point is, we kind of avoid handling things because we feel like there's a million different objections, but we just determined there's really only 10 objections. So Eric earlier mentioned process, right? So what is the process that Mirabito has to handle these objections, right? If we're collective, we've got a lot of knowledge in this room, right? Somebody probably handles some of these objections pretty damn well, I would bet, right? But somebody else probably is going, I don't really know how I handle that. But if we know that there's only 10 objections that we're possibly, is there any excuse for us not to be ready for every one of these objections and have something ready? You'll hear sales trainers all the time and they'll say, don't use a script. Those guys are full of shit. They have 20 and 30 years of experience in the business, and they say don't use a script because they use a process that they follow every single time. But that process has been built off of a script that they've been doing for 20 years. They don't need the script anymore. I'm telling you guys, start with a script and make it 3 or 4 sentences for each one. Be as brief as possible, okay? If somebody says to me, now, I've closed the door on the front end. I want you to write down the words mantle. M-A-N-T-L-E, mantle. All right, if I'm going to make a sale and you put something on your forecast, do you guys do forecasting? What are we going to sell this month? Okay. At Xerox, I want to know from my sales reps, what are you going to sell this month? You cannot put something on your sales forecast unless you can answer these 5 questions. Do they have the money? How are they going to pay for this? Do they have the authority to buy? Am I dealing with the decision maker? Can this person sign a check, or do I just have an influencer? Do I have to get somebody involved that's not the person I'm in front of before I go present my solution to them? Okay? Do I close that door? So now I've closed the door on third party, right? The next one is need. Do they have a specific need, right? Why would they buy? If they could stay and they're happy now, Dave, right? I have a provider I'm happy with, I don't want to leave them. If my price was 50% lower, would you even consider leaving the relationship that you have? And I'm going to use Mirabito. Would you have a customer out there that's so happy with Mirabito that even if a competitor came in at 50% lower, that they still wouldn't move? You guys have that out there? You better have that out there if you're good at sales. So if the role is reversed and I'm with Mirabito and I'm out selling to a competitor, I better understand if they're happy now because I need to cut bait and leave and find somebody else, right? If I'm coming, and I could use that as a hypothetical, you guys sound incredibly happy, right? Do you actually have a need, or am I just wasting my time? I can't promise you that I can be less than your current provider, but what are the problems that you're having that you need to solve today? The need is the most important thing. That's where in the meetings we spend the most time, developing the need, getting people talking. All right. The L is, for us, how they're going to, in my business, it's how they're going to purchase it. Are they going to finance it, or are they going to be on a credit line, or are they going to pay with cash? That's just, what is their method that I'm going to propose to them, right? So I want to understand how they buy and what they do. And the last one, which eliminates a couple others, the 3 quotes one, is exposure. E is exposure. So the word is mantle and E is exposure, okay? Exposure means, what other competitors are you talking to? You're in the market right now. Who else is in the game? Who are you looking at? What part of the process are you in? What do you know about what I'm selling to you? Have you been exposed? Has someone else poisoned the well about Mirabito? Right? If I can answer those 5 questions, money, authority, need, timeline is the other one. I forgot the T, timeline. Are they going to lease or purchase or credit, and exposure? Now I can put it in my sales forecast and I can do it, okay? Now, the worksheet that you guys have in front of you, how are we doing on time? Am I okay? Yeah. Has anybody checked their email yet? We're following me? All right. When you're handling an objection, the very first thing that you need to do, I'm not going to tell you this is how you need to handle any objection. You guys have to figure that on your own. This is how we're going to handle, I need to think about it, but this is the way I do it. First of all, you have to understand and hear the objection. And you have to confirm that you understand it properly. So there's a guy in the book, Never Split the Difference. He's a hostage negotiator. And he says, we have me talking, but we have 5 other people listening, because everybody listens from a different angle. They bring their own perspective to how they listen. Okay? So you need to confirm that you heard them correctly. Rephrase it and gain that understanding. That's the first one. Hear, listen, rephrase, gain understanding. Never disagree with them. I can completely understand that you need to think about it. I don't move forward unless I'm absolutely sure. Like, validate that. Just so that I am sure, now I want to isolate the objection, right? Think about it, though, was a bad one to choose because that's a smokescreen. But now I want to isolate the objection. If it was price, I'd say, is everything else okay other than the price? Now, I can't do anything about the price. I want to be very clear about that. But hypothetically, if I could match the price that you're getting from your existing person, would you move to us? Yeah, I would. Why? Well, because you guys are better at delivery, you guys are local, I really like what the company stands for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so if the price was right, you would move forward with us. I've isolated the objection. Now there's not another objection that's going to show up. So now I have to handle that objection. That's the third part. Rephrase, hear it, isolate it, handle the objection. How you handle that is what I just did. Why would you choose us? So now you get them to be a part of solving the problem, right? You don't have to solve the problem for them. When somebody says your price is too high, my first question is compared to what? Well, compared to my current vendor. Well, if price was the same, who would you be choosing? I'd be choosing you. Why? Help them with why they would choose you. Well, what about our local delivery and the fact that we can get there earlier? What about our fixed price versus their variable? When the market goes up, et cetera, et cetera. You guys following me? What about this? So I help them with the reasons, but first I'm getting them to exhaust all the reasons and tell me why. Then I'd say, all right, well, like I told you, I can't do anything about our price, but in your mind, what is the value of the things that you just articulated we do better than the current provider that you're using? Well, I would say I can understand why you can't match their price, but if you could get here, it could be more palatable for me. I might be able to move forward. So now, get them to help you handle the objection. Okay. Confirm that you've handled it, and then close for the business. Now, here's another trick. When you're handling objections, a lot of times smoke screens show up, which are not real objections, and the other thing that shows up is complaints. Hey, Matt, I'd like you to move forward with this. We talked about it already. Tell me your price is too high. Say, man, that's a pretty high price.
Your price is too high for me.
Is that going to stop you from moving forward? You knew that we were high when we sat down originally. Hey, can I get you to sign on the line here? Could be a complaint, right? It might be a complaint. That one, it might be real, it might be, but if you treat things with confidence, some of the objections that actually come up are just a complaint. Well, I really wanted the red truck instead of the blue truck. Okay, got it. You guys follow me on that? Sound good? So your take home piece of this equation is figure out the best way to handle those 8 to 10 objections and handle it the same way every time. When somebody tells me I need to think about it, I say, hey, great, I don't do anything without thinking about it. I wouldn't move forward if I wasn't absolutely sure. However, when I hear, I've been doing sales for 20 years, when I hear I need to think about it, it needs one of two things. It means, number one, you're a nice guy and you're not going to move forward and you're giving me an easy letdown. And I'd rather get a no right away. That would be the first option. The second option would be you're interested in moving forward, but there's something that you're not sure about. Now, which side of the fence are you on? Are you on the no side or are you on the interested but not sure side? I want to get to the close right away. If they say no, okay, I'm a salesperson. Does it hurt me? No, it doesn't hurt me at all. I gotta cut bait on that sales process right away. I'd like to get to the no as quickly as possible. But if they say I'm interested but I'm not sure, now I go, okay, when I hear I'm interested but not sure, there's 3 things that you can be considering. Number 1 is the company. How do you feel about us as Marabido and me as the salesperson and the product? Number 2 is the product. How do you feel about the product that we're providing? And number 3 is the investment. How do you feel about the investment? At some point, that smoke screen I need to think about it is going to come out. It's either price, product, or company, or salesperson, relationship. One of those things is holding them back, and you've got to smoke it out. Okay? Is anybody getting anything out of this? Okay. All right. Thank you. So, as you're doing that, I want you guys to think about this. Brevity wins. This is Mark Twain, and he famously said, if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter note. So, I want you guys to think about when we are not ready for objections or things that people are going to say, by default, we overtalk. We talk way too much. I'm probably doing it now, right? Okay. So what you need to do is work on getting 3 or 4 sentences that you're always going to say in those scenarios and commit them to memory so that they don't sound canned or processed. And everybody should handle it the same way so that the next time Eric stands in front of the group and says, hey, how do we handle I need to think about it? We've talked about it and we've got 4 sentences and a quick way to handle it, all right? The next time it comes up that they had a bad experience in the past or that they're happy now, when they're happy now, they can say, hey, I'm glad that you're happy with so-and-so, but we do things that complement and enhance what you're already doing with them. I'd still like to sit down with you and talk to you about some of those other things that we can provide that actually don't compete with what you're already doing anyways, okay? So be brief. For instance, if you were selling cell phones back in the 90s, people used to ask the question, hey, how do cell phones work? And the answer is, well, I don't know, it's magic. There's a satellite in the sky and it goes down to your cell phone. And then if I was an engineer, I would answer it like that. If I was a good salesperson with confidence and they said, how does the cell phone work? I'd go, it works great. Sign here. You don't have to have the answer, right? You don't have to have the technical answer. You just have to have a confident answer. A confident answer wins over the technical answer every single time, okay? Who's in HVAC? Who sells B2C here? You guys, okay, great. You guys sell to the companies, you guys sell the furnace systems that have the iPad on the wall and the AI and everything and does that? Yeah. How does that work?
Depends on that answer. Works good.
It works great. It works great, right? It works great. Here's the other trick. That's a great question. Why did you ask? Why is that important to you? Well, that's important to me because right now we're losing all sorts of heat outside the house. I have to turn it, like in the morning, sometimes I go to work and I forget to turn it down because my wife likes to sleep at 73 degrees. But when I leave, I have to turn it down to 64, and I'm burning all sorts of heat that I shouldn't be. It's costing me way more on my electric bill. So one of those smart furnaces would be great, right? That's a lot more powerful than, hey, let me tell you how this thing works. Right? Now I have the need behind it. So you don't always have to have the question. You can help them solve the problem by asking those questions. Okay? Do you guys sell many different kinds of those things? Yeah. How many different kinds?
Brand-wise, it's 4 or 5.
What are the differences?
name recognition.
Why is that important to you?
If people have the internet, it's taking place.
Yeah, but again, I could answer, hey, I have 4 or 5 different ways. Why is that important to you? Well, I'm used to working with XYZ. That's the product that I like. I was hoping that you guys did that. I could tell you, what if that's not one of your products? Right? What if the one that he just mentioned, what if they want GE and you guys are selling Generac or something like that, right? Like, okay, I'd like to know that before I actually answer the question. Why'd you ask that question? Why is that important to you? You guys follow me? Brevity is a key equation.
Even if they say, I like to eat, it's the same question. It should just, well, why do you like to eat?
Right, why do you like GE? What's important? Well, I've had great experience with them in the past. Okay, great. It's not about the product, it's about the experience that they had, and I can match that. Okay. All right. I'm going to be super quick on this story. Anybody know who John Glenn is? He's a fighter pilot. He was a Marine Corps fighter pilot in World War II. So he flew in 59 combat missions in World War II. He flew in another 90 in the Korean War. After that, he went on to the space program for NASA, and he was one of the first astronauts. He was the very first American to orbit the Earth, okay? He went on to be a senator of Ohio for 24 years. When he was known, after that, he gave great business speeches, and he'd go out to dinner and he would hold court. He liked to talk, okay? And people would talk to him and he'd go. He wasn't feeling so well one dinner that he went to. And instead of just going from story to story, hey, I was in this I was in this battle in the Korean War. When I was 17,000 miles above Earth's surface, the casing of my spaceship began to peel off, and I had to figure out how to get back to Earth. All these teamwork stories. He went out to dinner with people. He was at a table of 12 people, and he didn't feel that great. And he was used to going from story to story. People would ask him questions, and he would give one story after another. The one day that he wasn't feeling that well, he said, yeah, I'm not going to be able to just talk for the next 2 hours at this dinner. I'm going to need to do something different. I'll still give them a little bit of the stories, but I think most of them know the stories already. They know who I am, and I have a good enough relationship, kind of like Marabido. Do people know who Marabido is? You guys have a good enough brand when you go out there that people, for the most part, know who you are? Maybe they don't know the specifics about it, but for the most part, know who you are. So that day he said, I'm going to tell my story, but I'm going to be more interested in I'm going to ask other people what's interesting about them. So Justin, how many kids do you have? What do you do? What's the best thing that happened to you last year? What are the challenges that your kids are facing? So he spent the entire dinner, instead of talking about himself, he spent the entire, not being interesting, but being interested, okay? And on the way out, he snuck out the door before everybody else. He was walking out of the restaurant, and he could overhear, he had never heard this before, people were saying, they weren't talking about John Glenn, the American hero. They were talking about John Glenn, the amazing conversationalist. Can you believe all the things that guy has done? And can you believe that he just spent the last 2 hours being more interested in us than he was in himself and what we were talking about? I feel like he was actually a friend. It doesn't feel like he was an American hero. He just felt like anybody else at the table. He could have been my neighbor. What an amazing individual. What an amazing person. All the things that he's done, and he cared about us. He left that, and he happened to hear that, and he changed his whole philosophy on everything, and he became a completely different person who, instead of talking first and presenting, was interested in the other person. Here's another rule for sales. And I've seen it done a million times because I ride with 60 different salespeople. You show up to somebody's office and you go, oh, hey, is that a picture of Italy? Yeah, we just got back from Italy with my family. I went to Italy last year with my family. Did you guys go to the fountain in Rome? Yeah, we went to let me tell you about my kid fell into the fountain, right? The rule in sales is first 5 minutes. You are not allowed to talk about yourself at all right? Hold back resist it. Resist talking about ourselves. Our greatest strength, talking to people, we have to hold back at the initial side. Get other people sharing. Ask them great, intelligent questions. All right? Okay, next. That's part of being adept, accountable, decisive, ethical, passionate. I'm over my time, but I'm going to go for about 5 more minutes. You guys all have a worksheet in front of you, okay? One of the things that Jason asked me to do was he said that, hey, we're salespeople, we have ADHD, we kind of hop from one thing to the other, and organizing and planning your day is important. Well, think about when you were in high school. When I was in high school, I'd go out. We had, in the 1990s, we had 8 different periods, and in between periods, we had 5 minutes to go from class to class. And the salespeople, that's where we thrived. In the hallway, we could shine. I could high-five somebody, say what's up. I could figure out who won the game last night, who got grounded, where I was going for this weekend. But there was a bully in that hallway with the 8 periods. Because every 42 minutes, we were going back in that hallway and something else was happening, right? Think about that with sales. I was just about to do this proposal, and then boom, email shows up. Now I'm locked in my email. It's somebody else telling me what to do, right? Oh shoot, I have to get something for Dave and for Justin and for Matt. Let me stop what I'm doing, what's the most important thing to me, and let me do this right now, right? That is killing our productivity. That's the bully in the hallway. So in the late 90s, the school administrators looked at this system of 8 different classes every single day, and they switched it to something called block scheduling. They switched it so you don't have 8 classes, you just have 4 a day, and you could spend 80 minutes instead of 40 minutes in a class. And what happened? It proved to be a much better system because test scores went up, okay, because teachers had more time, and kids actually were much better off only focusing on a few things instead of having 8 things to do every night for homework. It helped with homework, it helped with learning, it helped with test scores, it helped with not having chaos in the hallways. You guys should do the same thing. On that sheet that I just gave you, I want you guys to tell me what are things, so I talked about 40 hours a week. You have 40 hours a week. I've put 20 blocks, 2-hour blocks of time in. Do you guys have a Monday morning meeting? You guys do that on a regular basis? Some of you do, some of you don't, right? If you have your Monday morning meeting, put it into a block. You guys have any standing meetings anywhere else? Put it into a block. You guys have to prospect? Do you guys prospect at the same time every week? Probably not, right? Prospect when you have the opportunity, put it into a block. I'm going to block this time out for prospecting. White space on your calendar. You have more time. Everybody has 1,440 minutes in a day. Some people use it incredibly better. When you say, I didn't have time to do it, what you're saying is, I didn't plan my time appropriately. Some people wake up in the morning, they work out, they get everything done that they need to, they still shovel the driveway, they put the garbage out, they get dinner ready, they go get their kids picked up from school. Some people can be much more efficient than others in their day, and others just don't plan appropriately. So as a salesperson, if I want to make the most productive hours, white space in my calendar, you have A hours when you can call on people, and you have B hours when people aren't in the office anymore and you can't call on them for the most part. During those A hours, I need to be as productive as possible. You have 20 2-hour blocks. You have 2 from 8 till noon, and you have another 2 blocks from 1 till 5. You can go on 10 appointments, you can have a Monday morning meeting, you could have a standing meeting, and you still have another 8 blocks. 10 appointments and 2 meetings, plus another 8 blocks of time that you could do prospecting or check your emails. Also, your emails as a salesperson is a time killer. Put time in your calendar specifically to check your emails. Who's the most important person in this room right now? You are. Whoever I'm talking to, whoever's sitting in the chair, you are the most important person in the room. What is your email? Your email is a to-do list that you didn't put in front of yourself. So keep that in mind. Your email is important. It needs to be done. But if you show up as a salesperson and the very first thing you do at the beginning of your day is check your email, you just screwed your whole day. Put the email at a specific time that you check every single day, put it in your calendar, and stick to it, and you will watch your productivity shoot through the roof. Because you won't be chasing your tail trying to fix something else. Okay? Sound good? All right. Next thing. I'm not going to do that. commit to Automobile University. There's a QR code here. If you guys actually hit this QR code, it'll open up books that I would recommend to start with. Books like Think and Grow Rich, books like Selling to Vito, very important top officer, How to Get to the C-Suite, Go for the No, all sales books that can help you get better at your craft. And I would tell you that you are the mirror image or the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you look at your friends group, you are basically looking in a mirror of yourself with the 5 people that you spend the most time with. I would challenge you today to, when you're driving around for Mirabito, to start using Automobile University. And instead of listening to sports talk radio or political radio or just listening to whatever's playing on your Apple Music, start hanging out with people that are a little further down the river than you are. Start hanging out with people like Zig Ziglar and Ed Milet and Brian Tracy. And I'll tell you a story about Brian Tracy. He gives great motivational speeches and he's got all sorts of materials. And a guy came up to him and said, "Hey, Brian, I appreciate it. Yeah, I've listened to all your stuff, and I used to make $60,000 a year, and now I make $150,000. He said, "It's because of your books and your seminars. But I got to tell you, there's a ceiling, there's a plateau where it doesn't work anymore." And Brian said to him, "Well, what were you doing when you were going from 60 to 150,000? "Well, for those 3 years, I was devouring all of your content as much as I possibly could." "Well, what's happened in the last year since you stopped?" "Well, I stopped listening." "Okay. Bang. I stopped doing it." If you want to keep going, we're in sales. We can get better every year. We can talk and we can give ourselves a promotion in sales. It's the old man at the car wash. When I brought my 4-year-old to the car wash, the old man sitting there said, "Enjoy that 4-year-old, because when he turns 5, the 4-year-old is gone forever." When did that stop being the case for that guy? When did that stop being the case for people in this room? Are you a different person? I'm 45 years old. Will I be a different person at 46 than I am at 45? I can guarantee you I'll be a different person at 46 than I am at 45. And if I'm doing the right thing every single day, I'll never get to a point where 76, 77, 78, I'm not a different person every single time. Automobile University will help you get there. Start hanging out with those 5 people when you're in your car by yourself. You can do, if you're on Mirabito time, you should be getting better on your own. You should be practicing on your own. Does anybody honestly do that today? Who listens to Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, any of those people in their car? When I come back, I want every single hand in the room to go up that you guys did this. I gave you the QR code for it. Okay? We all have a governor on our life. There's a book called The Big Leap. Okay? The Big Leap is about a thermostat on our life, when I was talking about it earlier. We are all comfortable in our own lives. So, when I'm sitting in my house and the thermostat is turned to 72, I'm comfortable. When somebody turns it up to 73, 74, I can start to sense something. Likewise, if it goes down to 68. If it happens to go up to 90, like it did one time when the heating experts showed up and left the pump on there and I couldn't shut it down and the house went up to 90, I noticed I was uncomfortable. Your life is the exact same way. We have a thermostat on our life and it's really, really comfortable as a salesperson. Figure out what it is, where you live, the type of car you drive, the type of money that you're used to making, and look at what you've made in the last 5 years. If you're in the same 10%, over a period of time, you have gotten incredibly comfortable living in that circle, okay? If you happen to go below that, your body and everything that you accept in your life is going to go, "Holy cow, this isn't right, this doesn't match who I am. I'm going to run really hard to get back to 72. But what happens, the same thing that happens if you're not making enough money happens the other way. "Holy cow, I just got a huge commission check. I've made more than I've ever had in my entire life. Let me just pay off this, and I'm going to go buy this car, and I'm going to do everything." And that money goes out the door as quickly as it came in, and now you're back to 72. And you've rationalized in your head, well, you know what? That was just last year. It was an anomaly. I got that one deal, but I'm going to grow again next year, but I can't grow by 50% like I did the year before because I got that one big deal and that might not be there this year. We rationalize that stuff just as much on the other side. It's called the big leap. We have to get uncomfortable. At 90 degrees, I'm incredibly uncomfortable. When I first started giving speeches, I was incredibly uncomfortable. But I had to lasso out and be as comfortable as possible because that's where I think we have to be. And the last thing that I'll leave you with. Ed Milet is a motivational speaker. He leaves, at the end he says, he's a Christian man. He believes in God. He believes in heaven and hell. He believes when he gets to the pearly gates, he will be greeted by the man that he was supposed to be, the man that he was built to be. When he gets there, his vision of heaven would be, he gets there and he says, good to see you, fine and faithful soldier. I've been watching you. You've been chasing me. I'm the man you were built to be. These are all the places that you could have gone. You got off path a couple times, but you've been chasing me the whole time, and I'm proud of you. And the other side of that, his vision of hell would be he gets there, and the person that he was built to be looks nothing like him. He didn't get any of the experiences. He didn't get any of the success. He didn't get any of the opportunity to help all the millions of people that he could have helped because he didn't make the most of his potential. And that's a word that Mark said earlier. And I want to tell you that potential is a dangerous word. Because potential means that you're not tapping your true opportunity. So don't let potential be the reason that you didn't do it. Wake up every day, work as hard as you possibly can, and chase the person that you were born to be. Thank you very much. I've got 2 things left, and I'm going to do a Q&A. But thank you guys very much for your time. The operations team did not do the survey. So please hit the survey. Let me know how I did right now, okay? And then the first QR code that I gave you was actual books. This one is actual audio books that you can use in your car, okay? So please take the survey first, and then the audio books, and you'll have it set up to be able to sit up here and give a speech just like this. So for those people that said, I should be doing that, you guys can be doing it next year for this group. All right?
Thank you very much. Nobody could have done this. So for that. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you very much, Tom. One thing that he talked about.